You're in Philly?
Cool.
You're in
Yeah, yeah,
Philly?
yeah. Over here. Um, yeah, it's like just got out of work just a bit ago. Got home, set up, But yeah, I'll get rolling.
Right.
You know, yeah, I was
Okay.
just taking some. But yeah, man. Thanks again for this. But yeah, just
Dude, a pleasure.
cool. Yeah, man. I'm stoked on the new record. So yeah, I'll just get start here. Okay.
Have
And
you
like
heard the
some of
whole
this,
record yet?
I've only heard the two tracks that are
Somebody
out.
sent you the whole record?
No, 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 not yet.
Uh-huh.
Just the two singles so far. Um,
Okay. It's coming
yeah,
soon. It'll be
awesome.
out momentarily.
Cool, cool. Yeah, it, thanks for coming on and like the tour is coming right up in August, early August, coming up real quick, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
we're about to be
cool. And it's kind of like coinciding with the album dropping too, as well. The
yeah, we've been doing that for years. We usually drop an album in the late summer, early fall, and we usually tour in the fall because it's not hot and it's not cold, and it gives us time to cycle with a record. It makes the most sense for ticket sales.
Sweet, yeah. And it kind of starts off in France, or beginning of the tour.
Yeah, we're going to Europe first. We're just doing 3 festival shows, and then we're coming back for the UK for 4 nights in London, doing a lot of inappropriate flying this month. And yeah, and then we're touring the States, man. We'll be out your way.
Awesome. Yeah, Sorks 80. Sweet, sweet album cover. I was just actually just checking out the artist. His name Bruce Riley, and it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting album cover, like a 3D print.
Yeah, we did a lenticular of it. He's just a random dude that somebody sent to me online, and they were like, I think you might like this guy," and we dug his work. He has an insane amount of work, so we dug through and found the most. He did the front and back cover, which I don't think the back cover's been shown yet, but it's they're the two like sort of personified paintings that look like people, kind of. They look like creatures. His stuff's really
I don't
cool
know.
though, far out.
It's almost like Technicolor, neon, really sweet, like parasitic,
Mhm.
really sweet. And that's what I love
Yeah,
about
a
your
parasite. Sure.
your album covers. You promote a lot of artists who have their very individualistic illustrations and art, and it's really great how
Yeah, totally.
music and art can work in that way. Um,
Yeah, we usually find somebody to work with that suits our palette, I guess, and we get approached by artists all the time now that are sort of in the the ilk of the kind of shit we like. With can I swear? We're going on radio, right?
oh,
Sorry
yeah,
about
man,
that.
this is all gonna be
Uh,
I'm gonna be like editing and stuff, and it's all post
you
production
can
now.
beep me out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll keep the swearing to 0. Sorry about that.
no, you're
But
good,
yeah,
man.
we're always looking for art. People are welcome to send us stuff. The website for OCS is me, so I'm always looking at stuff that people send. There's a lot of cool stuff. I'm working on with an artist right now I met through the website who's going to be doing some art for me for some OCS stuff coming up. So
Awesome. Yeah. And one piece is really, out that kind of stands out is the Panther Rotate cover, and that was like up for auction or something recently.
well, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
was
yeah,
that
we
the
auctioned off. We
original?
had a bunch of big. Yeah, we had a bunch of big lenticulars we did, and we sold one of those. I still have 2 of them, I think. I ended up with a bunch of those. We got a bunch of work done with that record cover. That's Kyle Ranson, an old roommate of mine from San Francisco, fantastic painter. And I told him I wanted picture of a panther from behind showing its
Oh, it was
manhood
kind of
and
actually like
it's
a commission piece
it
in a
was a
way. Like,
commissioned painting of a cat butthole, yeah, so
great. Yeah. How about the? It sounds like the new record will kind of subtract the guitar element with the sound. Is was
there's
there
no guitar on the
also was
zero
there
guitar.
was yeah was there like a goal, like a set idea to go
Yeah,
for?
yeah. We just didn't want guitar in this record. I didn't. So, with the last couple records were the one before last was really guitar centric. The last one was really synthesizer centric. So we sort of went with just a weird little challenge to do it with samplers, but it was fun. It worked out good. And honestly, if I didn't tell anybody, nobody would know because it kind of sounds the same. So it was more about the process than the final product. You know what I mean?
Sweet. And it seemed, was this album very collaborative, and as far as like
Uh,
people bringing in ideas?
I I wrote the demos at home by myself on this one, so I took in most of the songs. There were a couple that we didn't use, and then everybody sort of ran with the idea themselves. So the drummers, I wrote beats. Some of the beats ended up in the song. Some of them have been, mutated by the drummers. I don't I can't remember if I played bass on it or not, but I kept it really primitive. I did it on a 4-track cassette, and I might even put those up on Bandcamp at some point because they're kind of funny. You can sort of hear where they started and where they ended up.
Great, for kind of like the raw elements
Somebody
too.
holding a gun off somebody
What's that?
holding a gun on you off camera.
Oh
Is
no,
somebody
no, I'm
holding a
actually
gun on you off
I'm actually running a cassette tape going here. Yeah.
you're running the old I have
Kind of
that
like
4-track. That thing's great. It has
the
effects
chord,
built into it.
dude.
That's a yeah, I have that. I bought it recently.
Did you really?
Very cool.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, it has all the effects built in. Yeah,
Oh no way.
it's the
That's
boom box. Yeah, it has effects built into it. It's cool.
you can actually play tapes, listen them back to them. They sound great through it too.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Boombox,
sweet.
baby.
I felt like, why not have the the kind of like backup? Why not, in case digital.
Hmm.
So yeah, and yeah, man. Yeah, I've been doing this radio show in Philly for a few years now, and I do feature a lot of like local artists and stuff, and as well as like touring musicians who come through town. And I figured
Hmm.
to invite you on and maybe ask you a few questions about like your history of coming to the city here in Philly
Yeah,
early on.
certainly.
Do you have any like early memories of coming to Philly and playing
Yeah,
like DIY gigs
yeah.
here?
Actually, yeah. We played what was it, Danger House back in the day, I think it was called. I think that was in
Oh
Philly.
wow,
And also a
totally.
place when I was in the
Yeah.
band Landed that was called the Astrodome, maybe back in the day or something like that. It was a warehouse.
Yeah.
One of the guys from Arabon Radar took his pants off. Yeah, took his pants off during the show, and a girl maced him on the crotch. So that was pretty funny, and ended up macing the whole crowd. It was a really good show, though. That
Nice.
show is actually up online. The Landed
Yeah.
set,
So
anyway.
I actually wanted to ask you about that.
Um, and then
That
I also remember.
so yeah, I think it came cut out.
Uh, it's just it's funny with the first few times I went to Philly, I remember thinking it was a pretty tough city, compared to a lot of other New England and East Coast cities. Like, you got there's like, people talk about Boston and New York and stuff, and it seemed like Philly actually, was like had that vibe, like, just some dude staring at you while he gasses up his car. But I think it's changed a lot. It seems a little friendlier these days. At least when I go there. Maybe it's because I'm a grown ass man now. I don't know. But I always like Philly. The shows were always really fun. The old warehouse party's really fun. I like the joint we play at now. We always try and it's so stupid, but it's like I'm a big fan of food. especially local foods, you know. So every time we go anywhere, you got to go and hit like Pat's or some other kind of joint, you know, and just get like a late night sloppy, you know, cheese whiz cheesesteak or something. And it's always fun. That joint is particularly fun because it's just kind of like in a rec center field, right? And like it's just drunk people without shoes on at the end of the night there, you know. So, but I like all things Philly, you know. I'm a fan. I used to date a girl who was from there, and she was hilarious and tough as hell, you know. So I'm a fan of Philly, yeah. And there's always good bands too, man. Music, it's like one of those cities. It's kind of like it's not like Baltimore, but it has that same energy of like a tough joint that makes good art, I think, you know. So Philly's, you know, I remember people wanted to move there because it was cheap from San Francisco back in the day. When San Francisco got too expensive, some friends of mine were like, "We're gonna go to Philly," and I remember thinking like, "You're not gonna be able to handle Philly," and they fully didn't. They like moved there and they were like, "I'm coming back." I was like, "Yeah, Philly's
Yeah,
like too hard for y'all," you know. It's
man. Yeah,
you guys got thick skin, man.
so that landed show, that video, I actually kind of wanted to ask you about the video because some of that footage is on YouTube and it just seems like some of the most chaotic kind of situation. Like there's a lot of like like
Mhm.
just full blast kind of sound, you know, and
Yeah,
you know, like people on the floor, maybe like one light, you know, like very dark, you know, it's
yeah,
like, yeah, and
yeah.
loud, and
And
it seems like
the
very,
singer brought a the singer brought a like a mechanic's lamp, and he would have the club turn off all the lights, you know.
that's it, yeah, totally. That's great, and it just seems like you know, I was kind of like was thinking like what you know the leading up to that like show, like what was kind of like that night like, you know, like
On that trip, I was taking Vicodin. I don't know why. It was back when I was still experimenting around things. So I remember I was getting hurt a lot on that tour and then being really just like I feel like when I was a kid I would go for it too hard. Same thing in Pink and Brown, you know, like where I would get hurt and like end up with a concussion or something. So that was a lot of that kind of going on. That tour was fun though, man. It was like one of my first real tours. It was only like 11 or 12 days from what I remember. And it was like, you know, Providence, Boston, New York, Philly, maybe even Jersey, and then like out to like Cleveland and Chicago or something like that. And we played a bunch of just underground grimy spots, you know, and it was a tough tour. We were on tour with Arab on Radar, I think, and it was just like 11 of us on the road, you know, so it was like chaos. And we were all young and dumb. And I remember waking up on the floor in the basement of a place called Speak in Tongues in Cleveland. And when I had gone to bed, it was really dark, so I couldn't see the room. But when I woke up in the morning, I realized I was just laying in a bunch of kitty litter, like a really disgusting trip. So, you
wow, you
know,
know, it's yeah, that's yeah, sounds like sounds like an exhausting trip in a way. Like did like, you know, getting home from that
yeah,
tour,
I
like was
don't,
that, you know, like good,
now I
you know,
sleep
good,
in a hotel room.
you know, you got like it's just like it sounds like you guys really just went for it, you know, like, and that's awesome, you know.
Yeah, you
Um,
know, we were young and dumb, but I think punk bands still do that, you know. It's just it's you just have to know where to go to see them, I guess, you know. You don't get that a lot in clubs, I guess, in club shows or festival shows. That's like some underground kind of vibe, you know, like warehouse shows. And there's a lot of that in LA. I'm sure there's still a lot of that in Philly with like people playing in underground venues, you know.
oh yeah. Did would you play shows with like Coachwhips in the area here or much or
Yeah, yeah, all the time. Every time we
okay.
went by Philly, we would play there. And that was, I think, we played like something arts maybe there. I remember it was just like a
Sure.
weird gallery space. We would just play Coachwhips in particular before OCs. Like it was like I was booking it on the phone. You know, it was like kind of, you know, internet was just kind of getting rolling properly. So we'd be booking through email too. But like honestly, we'd just be like getting shows wherever we could. We would play like open mics and radio stations or somebody's yard, a lot of house parties and stuff, you know. They were good times.
Awesome.
I don't necessarily miss it because, you know, when you get older, it gets tougher to like have nowhere to escape to. So it's nice to have places like a green room, you know, instead of just having to stand there with a beer in your hand for 12 hours. So nothing wrong
Awesome.
with that, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, congrats on the tours this past summer as well, man. How was this past summer for you? Or I mean, it's still
It
summer
was
now, but you know, yeah, just like this last run, Japan and um, yeah. What did you go? Was there a run before Japan as well, or
yeah, last year we did Australia, and then every year we do Europe and the States. So usually the way it works now is we'll do one one, you know, off kilter one. So, you know, this year we did Japan, which we hadn't done in a long time. It had been 7 or 8 years, I think. When that was really fun. That was really like Shinji from DMBQ and Boredoms set that up for us, and he did a spectacular job. So that dude, his whole band, they like really, I mean, you kind of can't shake a stick at the Japanese, man. When they do something, they do it really well. So like he was like, I'll put the tour together, and it was great. The shows were really fun. His band is so good. And yeah, just it was great. So next year we have a couple new ideas of places to go. We went to Mongolia this year too. We played a festival there the other day. So we
right?
were there for, yeah, we were in Mongolia for 1 hour longer than we were flying. Really long flights.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, was the travel between cities in Japan mostly by road or by um were you like did you have a van in Japan or was it mostly road travel?
We have a van in Japan. We had one van that was all the gear, and then another van that was all people. So had two transports. Um, and yeah, we decided to drive because it's more fun than flying. Flying every day sucks. Nobody likes that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the clubs it seems like the clubs that you played in Japan were very uh like cool about like just open standing room and up front like GA standing room and stuff. Seemed
Yeah,
like
actually, and more than I remember. Like people on this trip, people were pretty active. They can be reserved there, but this trip, the shows were really fun. It was maybe my favorite one we've ever done. We ate really well. We had nice rooms. The gear was great. The bands were great every night. We played with Octa Beaver or whatever they're called, and yeah, we played with a bunch of great bands. It was solid, and the crowds were really fun, man.
that's awesome. Yeah. Um that's sweet. Like it's is it like now that you know that there's a few more members in the band and stuff, they're traveling with more in the group. Is it you know, I guess is it like do you have to like accommodate more kind of like travel time and stuff like that with like a more of a or like you know
No,
itinerary kind of stuff?
it's not so bad actually. I manage the band myself, and I've got it down to a science now. I would say the only thing that's been more of a pain in the butt over these past few years is that reservations for things are way further out. So like hotels, I have to reserve them like 6 months in advance because we're getting 6 rooms a night. Everybody gets their own room, and then we have a sound person usually and merch people. So it's like, you know, that is the only thing that's you have to keep on top of. But otherwise, we've got our system down pretty good. We try and keep our routes pretty short, so we're not driving for like 10 hours because that's awful. So we try and keep everything to 5 hours ish. So this year, one thing we're doing differently is we're hitting more B market stuff that we don't usually do. So some smaller towns like Boulder, Colorado, stuff like that. And it was high time, honestly, because we would always be playing the same big cities, you know, like Philly. This year we're playing Pittsburgh, for instance.
Oh,
I don't even remember the last time I played in Pittsburgh, which is a shame because I like Pittsburgh. I like all these small towns in Pennsylvania. I once played Schwenksville, which was near
Oh yeah,
Zern's flea market. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's like,
that
yeah,
that's the
we would
home.
go to Zern's every time with Landon.
Good stuff
It was
up
an
there,
awesome
man.
place. But yeah, yeah, man, I would always end up leaving with a bunch of crap.
That's awesome. That Schwanksville is the home of Philadelphia Folk Fest. It's a really long standing
Oh, okay.
music festival, and like Martin Guitars is there and all this,
Oh,
and
no
I was kind
no
of
kidding.
yeah
Wow.
yeah yeah. I was
Cool
kind of
shit.
curious actually if you ever being from like Rhode Island, Providence, if you ever kind of had experience with like Newport Folk Fest and like the jazz festivals up there.
I've never been, and it's funny because I was only getting into music really right before I left Providence. And the Newport, it's funny because it seemed Rhode Island is so small, but Newport seemed like when I was a kid, so like it was so far away. And but it's not. It's like a 20-minute drive probably. I don't know. But it wasn't in the city where I was, and I basically spent my whole time between North and East Providence. Like I lived in the fine or the jewelry warehouse district across from Fort Thunder, and everything was happening out there for the underground. So I didn't venture too far. I painted houses, I worked at restaurants, but I never really, you know, I never went to the Newport festivals ever. It's a shame. I kind of wish I had. I think now my musical tastes are far more broad than they were when I was a kid. I'm not so sure I would have been interested in it. So we'll see.
Yeah, just a little off track but those guys like Deer Tick and stuff, they're kind of like familiar with that kind of crowd. They're a big Providence band and stuff.
Ear tick?
De- Deer Tick.
I don't know him, but that's a extremely Providence name because deer ticks are a real problem there.
Uh, yeah, good stuff. John McCauley, he's a great songwriter. Um, yeah, good band. Seen them a
I'm
bunch of
looking him up
times.
right now. I've never heard of him. Wow.
Interesting.
Okay. Deer tick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Far out.
Yeah, man. So you're going to be starting in France, and stuff. And are you going to be catching any of the Olympics and stuff over there? You think?
I didn't even think about that, but we are flying into Paris, so it might be a little bit of pain. I just don't know. We are
Yeah.
literally basically we did a smaller tour earlier without a lot of festivals on it. So we played some smaller towns. We had a really good, nice time in Europe. Europe's always a pleasure, man. I love going over there, but we decided to sort of bump up the financial end of it, that we would take on a few bigger festivals. So we're going to, I think it's in Paris, and then Switzerland and the Alps, and then Portugal. So I haven't been to Portugal in a long time either. I'm gonna getting ready to eat some crab, I guess.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. What was is it Mongolia? What was Mongolia like?
Really cool. That city, Ulaanbaatar, has the worst traffic I've ever seen in my life, which is crazy to say. The countryside is green and grassy, rolling hills, wide open, no trees at all. It's like looking out at Iceland, except without the volcanic aspect, where it's just green, rolling hills. Lots of yurts and the like. The people were nice. It was just a chaotic trip though. But the food was really good. We went to a jazz club the first night we got there, and I actually really enjoyed that. A lot of the bands at the festival
Oh,
that
that
I
sounds
heard,
awesome. That sounds awesome.
yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Mongolian jazz. The bands that I heard at the festival were super like 90s rock, which was kind of crazy. Um,
Mm.
Probably my least favorite decade for popular music, so that was interesting. But it was cool, man. Everybody was really nice. We met this kid Zero, who was 20 years old, and he was showing us around, and I liked him a lot. He was real funny.
That's great. It sounds like the shows were a good time. Like cool clubs over there.
It was fun.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, we
cool.
played at a festival, so just one big show in a field.
Festivals.
Um, But
Wow,
yeah, it was all right, man. It was all right.
nice. Yeah, I was curious about the new record. Being it seems like this was recorded at like more like a home studio situation. Um, it's yeah, being the last record recorded at the the Discount Mirrors studio.
Yep.
Was that is
Hmm.
that is the studio still are you is it still kicking or is it still
Yeah, it's
hosting
still a
events
studio.
at
I
the
just
studio?
decided this. I just decided to do this one at home. It's just a different aesthetic, you know. I was writing it at home on 4-track cassette, and kind of the record before that I had done at home as well. I did file form here. I like recording at home a lot too, you know. Next year we're gonna mix it up and maybe go back out to Texas where we used to record out on the Mexican border there. This really cool spot. So it's
Is that
trying to
the
just, you know,
Sonic Ranch out
just
there?
a sonic ranch. Yeah, yeah. This
Nice,
place is
man.
great, man.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask you about a few questions about like Texas and like the studios there and your kind of the relationship with the band OCs. Seems like you guys have quite the family down there. Yeah, first, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the studio. It seems like a really cool space, and you guys have done at least one album there. I don't know how many albums um you've recorded there.
Well, the studio itself had probably done about 30 records up to this point, but it was, you know, a studio for hire. So I did 2 records there, the OCs one, and another one that I'm still working on that hasn't come out yet. So I don't want to announce what that is yet, but it's an exciting one. But yeah, like we have a great relationship down in Sonic Ranch. We've recorded there a few times. I get really stuck on places, you know. So I used to record at the Hangar in Sacramento every record for a long time, but that place
Chris
closed.
Chris
Unfortunately, somebody bought it, which was a shame
Chris
because that place
Chris
was really, really. Yeah, Chris
was
Woodhouse ran that one. It was a really. What's that?
was there a spot called the Dock, maybe the Dock, something like that,
Yeah,
or
he
was it?
ran the dock right before he moved somewhere in the Midwest. I don't know where he is, but he ran the dock uh right at the end before he left Sacramento.
Nice.
But yeah, like I like that place too. But the hangar was really special.
Yeah, there was the first couple records with Chris Woodhouse. There was definitely it seemed like there was a like a certain sound that was being developed, or you guys really worked on those records that they just sound very unique, and it was I really enjoy like a weird exits and just
Weird
you
Exits
know
was done at the dock. Yeah, that was.
yeah
So it's funny because the hangar, when we were recording there, we were all stuck on room sound, and the hangar was huge, you know, hence the name. So it had a lot of real reverb, you know, whereas the dock was much smaller, and it had you know, just a tighter sound. So we did Weird Exits at the dock, I'm almost positive, and that one's got a little bit of a tighter sound. You know, it had a good room sound, but it wasn't like the hangar was really boomy, you know. It was cool. And now my studio at home is a super small room. It's like maybe 300 square feet, if that. But it works, you know. It's and I have a lot of great like vintage, like I built my own plate reverb, and I've got some old springs. I've got a tube spring reverb that was owned by Aha, which is pretty cool.
that's great.
Yeah,
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 man.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know, this the experience of recording at home and going out to the studio is you know, there are records that kind of blend the two. Um, I guess there some records have a couple different like sessions maybe. I'm not sure. Uh,
Oh yeah, no,
you
surely.
know, um, yeah, man. And so the new record is more the one studio, I guess, home studio for the new record.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
What was the question?
Yeah, was the new record kind of more home studio recorded then, or
Oh yeah, entirely. There every now and then we do a record that's from multiple locations, but honestly, that's pretty rare. This one was recorded all at my house, mixed at my house, and JJ Golden uh, down here in Southern California, he mastered it. He does all my mastering work. The guy's a genius. He's super easy to deal with. Just recently, he asked me, we've never met in person. We've only talked through email and maybe once or twice on the phone. And he's not too far from where I live. And he emailed me and he was like, you could come here and sit in on the mastering session. And I was like, no man, I don't want to screw it up, I like what we have. And he was like, I totally understand. I was like, this is
yeah,
perfect, we have a perfect thing going here for years now. I was like,
awesome.
no, I'm comfortable, maybe we can get a drink together someday.
How about the like the mixing process? Did did
Uh-huh.
uh did you did you do a lot of the mixing for this album, or was it kind of
I did it
a
all.
couple?
Yeah, I mixed it
Yeah.
all. I usually am. I'm pretty hands-on with the mixing. It's funny. I learned how to mix from Chris Woodhouse. He taught me subtractive mixing, which is pretty standard, but definitely a very interesting way, because my way of mixing before that was to turn everything up all the way all the time. And he showed me that you could, instead of turning everything up all the way, take out certain things to make room for other things while still getting it to sound pretty burly. But ironically, these days, I'm kind of leading back into the turn everything all the way up again, like I was when I was a child. So you
Oh,
never know.
nice.
I
Yeah.
I actually I had an interesting conversation with Pachi from Prettiest Eyes and Pachimon about his drum sound that he was getting on his dub records, because they sounded really good to me, but it sounded the opposite of how I do my own drums. And I actually looked at the way he was EQing them and I was like, huh. So it changed my perspective on the way I was stuck on doing drums. And now I was doing more additive mixing like he does on his drums. So actually kind of putting some garbage in the drums, like the stuff you would usually think of as garbage and taking it out. He's like spiking all that terrible. It was like a real dub trick to put in like drum mud and like mid-range attack. And
Some
that
more
was really
grit.
fun to work with.
It
More grit. Yeah, sure. But more slop.
and that kind of reminds me a lot of the early In the Red record stuff. I kind of want to ask you
Oh
about
yeah.
like, you know, like some of that kind of scene, the early scene of those guys. One of my favorite bands is like Ponies, and a lot of the
Oh yeah.
early,
They're
you know,
great.
and I just feel like
Those guys were really fun to party with.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's that.
They
I
were
feel like
fun partiers. Yeah.
that scene was like a very special kind of time. Um, and a lot of great music came from that later on, and yeah, I mean, just think all their records are awesome, and it's a great label In the Red. Um, Also great band, Amplified Heat. Those guys in
Oh yeah.
Texas,
The best.
for real.
They're
Like I
so
feel like
good.
not enough people talk about them. You know. Um, yeah, man. I guess yeah, just I don't want to take up too much of your time. Um, and stuff. But yeah, a few questions. What was I like crazy
What?
question? I guess early on, like some like gear stuff. What was kind of like an early experience with like the Space Echo reverb or Echo unit? Uh, how did you like
Right.
come across that like early on?
I'd always wanted one, but they were always too expensive for me when I was a kid. I didn't have any money. And I just got really, really lucky with my first one. My neighbor was moving out. This really cool guy named Miles, who lived below me, who was selling a bunch of stuff, and he had that, and I got it for $100. It was broken, but I managed to fix it myself. And
Wow.
he also had the three things he had for sale were a skull, a sword, and that. Can you hang on for 1 second? I'll be right back.
Yeah, no.
Sorry about that.
You're good. Yeah, man. So,
Looks like we
yeah,
got
just
4 minutes left.
cool. Yeah, it's another thing is like touring with your own gear. Um, I know you have like a Fender cabinets and like
Mhm.
traveling. Do you travel much across like seas with those? Like for like overseas runs?
Not with the amps, but we have almost the same models that I rent over there. And then my sound guy over there, Sam, actually built me the American cabinets because they don't have those big cabinets in Europe. So he actually built them to spec and they sound pretty much the same. So that was kind of incredible, you know?
Right. That's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
just being able to like go over and plug it, have it set ready, and it sounds great. Last year's France festival you guys played sounded really incredible. I watched like the live stream. It streamed live. Um, and yeah, it was a great show. It's like like the festivals over there seem kind of like really have their own energy in a way. And yeah, just sounded great. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Uh, this one's kind of for my friend. Another Philly related question. It's kind of funny one. There's like maybe a few photos floating around of a Halloween costume of Daryl Hall and Oates, maybe Hall and Oates.
Was
I
that
don't
in
know.
Philly? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
It
know.
was me and
I don't know. I don't know what the
yeah,
background is of that, but it's just
it was me and Lars Finberg from the Intelligence and A-Frames when he was the second drummer in OCS years ago, like over a decade ago. I think he was the first of the double drummer series. There might have been one right before him, but me and him decided to be Hall and Oates for Halloween, and that was a really fun night. We got the costumes that day. It cost like $8, and we had to write Hall and Oates on name tags so people would know who we were. But I also had to draw chest hair on Lars with a marker. That every now and then we send that photo back and forth to each other and still have a good laugh,
Was that
you know?
did you play a show as Hall and Oates? Did you play a show there?
Yeah, I didn't realize. I thought that was in LA, but it might have been in Philly. It was a long time ago, so I don't really remember.
Yeah, man, that's great. You do a great Daryl Hall. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, white guys with square heads and good hair. What are you gonna do? You know?
Oh man.
Anybody ever tell you
Oh,
you look like Ty Segall?
I get it. I do get it a lot, actually.
I
That,
literally I
thanks,
just
man.
sent a picture of you to him and he said it does look like me.
Ah! Yeah, I wanted to say, you write great bios for bands, like your bios for
Oh
albums and bands.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Really
Yeah, it's a
creative.
good time. I enjoy it. For bands I love, I'll do that. Thanks, man. We're about to run out of
Yeah.
time here, right?
Thanks again, John, man. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, man. And
Yeah.
we'll chat again
I'll
sometime.
see you in Philly, huh?
Yeah, see you there.
Right on, man. Go Bird. Bye.
Yeah.